Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at this S&B Cold Air Intake with the Oiled Cleanable Cotton Filter for 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s with the 6.2-liter V8. This intake is going to appeal to the 6.2-liter Silverado owner who's looking for a premium, fully enclosed intake setup that's going to provide improvements in both power and sound. This is a high-quality, no-tune required intake that provides you with the benefits of an aftermarket intake with an oiled filter, with the consistency and heat mitigation properties of your stock setup. Sort of a best of both worlds type of scenario. Cold air intakes are some of the most popular mods you can make to your truck, and with good reason. They're typically pretty simple to install, they're affordable and effective in improving your driving experience by increasing sound and/or the power of your truck. But not all intakes are created equal. Many on the market are just open filters in an engine bay, which, while they might pull in a greater volume of air than your stock setup, they're going to be pulling in a lot of hot air from within the engine bay itself. And that's where something like this one from S&B comes in. Now, the biggest and most obvious feature here is that this is a fully enclosed intake system. But unlike most other enclosed intakes, this is going to pull air from multiple different places. This inlet at the bottom of the air box seals with the stock air intake duct to pull air from the upper part of the grill. And as you can see, this is a pretty hefty rubber seal. It's going to keep everything nice and tight. Now, the box also has an inlet at the top here, and that's going to pull air from the top edge of the hood. You can also take out this plug right in the center if you like. It's just another silicone piece there, and this is going to provide you with even more coming into the box. Now, by this point, you've also surely noticed this absolutely enormous air filter. This has a lot of surface area, which is great because you're going to need a big filter for such a large volume of air coming in. Now, this is an oiled filter, unlike your stock setup, so you're going to get some additional benefits that go along with that. On the surface of these pleats here, there's a thin layer of oil that's extremely helpful in capturing small particles of dust, dirt, and debris, stuff that might otherwise make it through a regular dry filter. It really just adds an extra layer of protection to help keep unwanted stuff from getting sucked into your intake and engine. And of course, you can reuse this. So that's going to help save on maintenance costs, since you only need to clean and re-oil this occasionally. And if properly maintained, oiled filters can last a heck of a long time, so you're not going to have to worry about replacing your air filter every year or so, especially if you drive your truck in dusty or dirty conditions regularly. This will be extremely helpful. Now, while we're on the subject of this filter, you also might have noticed this cool little window at the top of the box here. Now, this is sealed with a piece of rubber around the edge, and it's going to give you a nice view of that filter inside, so you can check this out while it's still in the engine bay. Again, that just snaps in with the rubber seal, making it super easy to remove and install. And you've also got a nice rubber seal around the edge of that filter too, so everything goes together pretty easily. The mass airflow sensor is also relocated further down the intake tube as well, as opposed to your stock position. That's going to allow for further improvements in airflow. And the extension harness that you need is also included in the box. Now, speaking of this intake tube, since I've got it in my hand, this is totally unbaffled. It's going to have some nice resonance to it. So between it, the filter, and that air box, you're going to get some additional sound here, and in my opinion, that's the coolest part. Now, construction here is all pretty high quality stuff. The box and the intake are made from durable ABS plastic, so that's going to be strong, lightweight, and have good heat resistance properties. And that clear lid that I was talking about earlier is constructed from polycarbonate. All of the seals on the box, the filter, and even your connectors right here are all made from premium silicone. So everything is really strong, it's thick, and it's durable. And that filter that we were looking at earlier is an 8-layer cotton media with some seriously deep pleats to it, so this is going to have great filtering capability. So suffice it to say, this is a pretty stout setup that's going to last you a long time. And I think that this is now a good time to get into the price. Now, this whole setup, as you see it here, is going to cost you about $400, and that is pretty standard for the category. You're getting some really nice features here, and even though this intake tube isn't metal, this isn't necessarily the most visually stunning thing, you are getting a really high quality item that's going to give you good sound, good results, and it's also easy to service and put together. So overall, I think this is a good value for what you're getting. Now, when it comes to installation, this is going to get a 1 out of 3 on our difficulty meter, and it should take you about an hour to get it installed. Overall, this is a pretty simple operation. Most of this just kind of slaps together really easily. And everything you need to get it installed in your truck is included in the box, including that extension plug for your mass airflow sensor we talked about earlier, the clamps, the connectors, and all the little bits and pieces that you need. And now to show you how to get this installed on your Silverado, let's hand it over to one of our AT customers.
All right, so the tools we're going to use for today's installation, we've got a socket wrench, we've got a 15mm socket, 13mm socket, 10mm socket. Down here we have the 8mm socket, T15 Torx bit. Then we have a 4mm Allen wrench, 3mm hex key, extension for our socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, flathead screwdriver, trim removal tool, and a 19mm socket. All right, we're going to use our 10mm socket to disconnect the battery from the terminal. All right, we're going to remove the hood latch lever using the T15 Torx bit. And just pulls out. All right, so using the trim removal tool, I'm gonna go around and take these push clips out of the radiator guard. Just get right underneath that little one, pull it up, and then you can remove the top, and get it all the way underneath to remove the rest. Alright, so now that all the push clips have been removed, you can just pull the radiator guard out and put this side. Next, I'm going to take the 13mm socket wrench and remove the support brace here. Here. Back with the trim removal tool, I'm going to get this last push pin out. Pull the stock inlet 2 up enough that it's no longer connected to the stock air box. You don't have to take it all the way out because we're not replacing them. Okay, so we're going to take the large wire harness and remove the air intake. Alright, so the next step here would be to remove another push clip, but because we've already installed the Pulsar LT, that's been removed. So we can go ahead and move to the next step. Alright, so the next step is to disconnect the MAF or the mass airflow sensor from the air intake. So you can see this red tab here, we're going to go ahead and slide that back and then push down on the black tab. You can do this with your hands, or I'm going to go ahead and use a flathead screwdriver. We're going to disconnect the push clip here using the trim tool again. Okay, so we're going to disconnect the crankcase vent tube at both ends by pressing down on this little gray tab here. And the other one is right down here. Alright, we're going to loosen the hose clamps both here next to the MAF sensor and also back here on the throttle body. I'm going to use a 7mm socket for that. And this one's in a bit of a funny spot, so I'm going to use our extension. And you can see it kind of hiding right back in here. Alright, so we're going to remove the stock air intake tube. The tube is connected to the alternator down here with a little bracket. So we're just going to pull this out, tip it up, and then push towards the passenger side, and that should get it out. I'm not working this off. There we go. works. We're gonna go ahead and remove this nut with a 10mm socket. So once that's out, we're actually just gonna move our pulsar just to the side, and we're gonna go ahead and pull this out. And we're done. All right, so this is what it's gonna look like all the stock equipment is removed. Now we're ready to put all the S&B air intake materials together and get it put in. All right, so now we have the new S&B air intake box. We're gonna take the silicone seal and install it right here. All right, so now we're gonna attach the harness bracket with a 1/4" screw and a 4mm XP. So this is gonna go, show you this direction. Insert the screw. And put that in there. Okay, so our next step, we're gonna install the panel grommet and this aluminum shoulder washer. This will just kind of pop right in here. And this will push directly in. So there's a little bit of optionality with this, depending on the heat and weather in your area, but we're gonna go ahead and install this silicone box plug and just kind of work it around. Next step is the mounting prong grommets. These just slide right on here. Alright, so now we're ready to go ahead and put the S&B intake in. So we're going to take these grommets and seat them down here in this spot, and then we're going to make sure to line up here to put our bolt back on. Alright, so we're going to put this washer back on the inside, so it'll be a little bit difficult to see. Back to the stock air inlet tube and insert it into the new S&B intake. So kind of guide it with your hand inside. Should slide right in. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of reassembly here. We're gonna take the unique push pin we pulled out of here, put it back into the inlet, reattach the bracket, put the radiator cover back on, and all of these push clips here. Just insert. Here. Take our mounting bracket here. Sure you get it in the right way. Nice and tight. This back on. Can't install two bottoms there, you know. Don't work out. And the last one, I just got to pop open. And just the latch to go. Alright, so I'm gonna reattach the latch Go ahead and just slide it back in. I've got these screws. Back again with the T15 Torx bit. Alright, so the mounting bracket that we installed earlier, we're just going to take the large wire harness and slide it right on the back of there. Good to go. Alright, so we're going to take this push clip that we pulled out earlier, and there's a bit of a little hole right here. It's going to be kind of difficult to see. I'm just going to push that back in. Okay. Alright, so we're going to use this push-in cable tie and put it right in this upper hole, and that's going to secure our stock mouth harness. Push those down and plug it in.
Don't take it.
So now we're going to remove the film from both sides of this and seat it into the plastic portion. Now we're going to install this clear portion. We're going to snap it in the curved area and kind of chase it around to the straight side. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and install the air filter, make sure that this washer is up here. And similar, we're just going to make sure that it snaps all the way around. And secure. So back to our stock air box, we're going to remove the map sensor with the T15 Torx bit. Now that we've removed our sensor from the stock air intake, we're going to reinsert it into the new S&B intake 2. So we're going to use this pad that's included, line it up with our little holes, and the pad on top. Now we can insert the sensor and find our screw holes. All this will just be tightened down with a Phillips head screwdriver. Now we're going to install the quick disconnect adapter into this area here. You'll want to just hand tighten this portion as much as you can. We're going to take a regular wrench and only 1 to 2 more turns. Don't make it any tighter. We're going to install the step coupler onto the intake 2. Just pop this on. Use this. I'm going to tighten this all the way around on the lower base, and then I'll leave the top one loose and install later. I'm just going to tighten this down with a flathead screwdriver. Okay, we're going to take the map harness extension cable, insert it here into the sensor. Here, a little click, and then we're going to take another push cable, and that's going to go right into this spot. I wrap this around and secure our extension in place. And we will just trim the excess. ready to install the intake tube into the system. So we're going to start here at the throttle body, and then we'll attach to the air filter. Just pop it in vertically, warm its way on there, and then we'll pull it down. Alright, and then I'm going to take 10mm socket and tighten all of our So now we're going to take that extension that we hooked from the sensor and connect it to the stack. And we'll slide that red pin right back down to lock it in. Alright, so we have the lock-on fuel hose, we have the right angle quick disconnect and a straight quick disconnect, and 2 hose clamps. And we're just going to assemble the parts like this, put on the locks, push this into the end here, and this is going to be facing up. Put this side on, and push the straight disconnect into the end of this tube. And we'll just tighten these down. Now we're going to take that hose that we just assembled, and we're going to take the straight end connector into the engine and the right angle into the tube. These will just snap there into place, and same thing here. Okay, we're coming to the final step, so we're going to reconnect the battery here. Seat it back on and use a 10mm socket to just secure it down. Alright, so to complete the installation, we're going to navigate to the air filter live page. And we just want to disable this. Disabled, and we're good to go.
That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the S&B Cold Air Intake with the Oiled Cleanable Cotton Filter for 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s with the 6.2-liter V8. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, for all things Silverado, be sure to stick with us right here at AmericanTrucks.com.